going on here that actually will awaken humanity. But I totally agree with you. It's very not dangerous maybe, but very difficult and delicate to tread on this border, I think.
Right, and it's sort of like, if it's true, if we read Crowley and we read the manifestos and literature that's out there of the OTO, the Rosicrucians and the Masons, the overarching idea is that they're working towards, at least under the levels of stuff that we can read. We're not members, we don't know the inner secrets.
Sure, yeah.
But we can intuit them, we can guess, and we can also we can read what we have. And what I get from that is that they're trying to work towards something good, something positive.
Yeah.
It's whether they've gone astray that is a question.
Yeah.
And and in the end, if they are doing their work correctly, then we're all working for the same individual, because as I understand, their top leaders have to be this inner head or secret chiefs, the white light. That's this similar thing that's underneath all of us. So we all should be, in the end, working for the same goal, and maybe that's why they've just taken on this dark role, because we need an expression of that, because we can't deal with it internally. Now we have an external boogeyman, and obviously our illuminated seers, our shaman of our society, will take on the role that they're supposed to when it's necessary. So that doesn't mean we should say, well, they're benevolent.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe do they understand these things this way, not having access to what they know in these secret realms of their thinking and of their processes? We can only speculate. So,
isn't that? Yeah,
the
I
quest
totally
continues.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I totally agree. It's fascinating what you say there, and I think. Again, the question always goes back to the fact that, okay, do these guys actually know what they're doing, or have they got this, idea, or rather, let's say like this, that if the universe favors a certain path, that human beings or the mankind should take at this point, then maybe the universe will find some way to express itself in that way, so we find, we get on that path or on that route, and this might be one of the levels towards, coming onto that path. I don't know. Yes,
I agree. It's so layered and fascinating, this area. But,
it is, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned also in your latest video a line. I just want to read it because I think it was, very nice. It says, "The universe is alive, and that it is communicating to us in every point of space-time. Its language is far more rich and elegant than anyone composed of words." And I think that's very nice and very, a very good way to view it. And I also want to tie this back to another point when you were talking about, I think, the cube of Hellraiser 2. During this passage, I think you said, have we discovered a message embedded in the space-time, and again it keeps coming back to this idea or concept that there is a message or an underlying theme in space-time. Would you like to elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. What I was trying to explain there was just how, if you pay really close attention to your environment, you will realize it's a teacher. You can follow the clues it keeps leaving you, and if you are paying attention, basically, if you and your environment are starting to live in a sort of rhythm, then you start to realize that it's pulling you towards whatever goal you might have as an individual, and that to me is represented by synchromysticism, because I'm looking at the things I understand. Movies, the things I was raised in. If I was another person, maybe I'd find patterns in the garden or in the rocks or the trees, but I was raised in this Western culture with movies and books and comics and all this media.
Yeah.
So I've started to look at the media space for patterns and connections, and I find a narrative in there that helps me to understand these everything I'm interested in, really, because there's so much media out there.
Yeah.
If you learn to look for the coincidences, and the themes and the symbols that are always connected, and use your intuition as a guide. You get this amazing story coming out of it, and you can always, and you're involved in that story because you're trying to understand it, and just by being aware of your surroundings. And I don't think for everybody that would mean synchromysticism. For somebody it might mean Kabbalah or tarot or
Sure.
other tool, or maybe just gardening again
Yeah.
could be your tool. But it's just to learn this, basically, that you and your environment are in a relationship, that there are higher insights like it's alive and you're actually not separate from it and this sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
even if you can just get the sense that you and your environment are in a dynamic relationship with each other, then that's part of what I'm trying to say with those words.
Yeah, absolutely. Very beautifully put, Anna. This is, again, something that is very important, I think, because in a way, many people might feel that, okay, certain aspects of our culture is disconnected from some kind of divinity, or that there is spirit in things that take place in a I don't know what we should call it, a decadent cultural Western society or whatever. But it feels like, just as you say, if you look close enough and are paying attention, you can spot all of these mysteries and synchronicities beyond the surface of all things, because everything in our universe can't be, or let me rather say that something in our universe cannot be a part of it. It's right there, it's right in the middle. So whatever we will do, there will be an expression of something, a higher order, if you will, of the divine in everything we touch upon, I guess.
Agreed. I completely agree. It's just starting to realize that there's no separation between who's experiencing the thing and what's being experienced. It's sort of coming into the realization that I suppose we're all one. I mean, it's sort of a phrase that gets misused, and but that's simply the highest the form that I can think of what I'm trying to say with synchromysticism.
Yeah.
Beyond all the secrets that we might glean about these narratives of Atlantis and the 9/11 ritual, in the end, I'm trying to say that everything is connected. And if I can get out of a Donald Duck cartoon or a rapper or who knows, like, I don't know, a chocolate rapper or maybe even a hip-hop rapper, anything I can think of, if I use my intuition and I can find patterns in there, you can either think, well, this guy needs to be locked up, or if I can prove my point that every part of the universe is alive and connected, and that's insight in itself that's very important.
Yeah.
And it supersedes, to me, really, the 9/11 mega ritual and all these sort of secret society things that I'm trying to illuminate. The idea is that synchromysticism works.
Yeah.
And if it works, it means the universe is alive.
Yeah.
So if you can see that I'm finding some sort of pattern in everything, in any material that I'm familiar with, then that might help you to get to that insight.
Indeed, yeah, and I think it's good to kind of, again, go over some of these methods to kind of get, people who aren't familiar with it in the right think, so to speak, of how this, might come about, and how people, themselves can see this in their own surrounding and pick up on it and feel like, okay, shit, I'm actually part of something, huge right here, and that's, that's empowering, that's positive in so many ways. So, very good.
Exactly. Yeah. It's trying to understand that you are, like such a big part of the equation. If it wasn't for you, in a sense, the entire universe wouldn't exist.
That's right.
Your entire world is only existing because of you.
Yeah.
And people are so, at the moment, so they have so little value for themselves, or they just see themselves as numbers, or there's so many billions of people on the planet that the very idea that you actually create the world around you in a very real sense. It's not the only thing. The world at the same time creates you. But you are in that equation, and that's really important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Speaking about messages, how about, because I don't think we talked about this, because this was a news item that popped up a few months ago, I think. This is, of course, about the Saturn hexagon that popped up there, I don't know if they have, took pictures of this before, or if this was the only one. But anyway, as soon as I saw it, I amazing. There's a amazing symbol right there. What's your take on that entire thing?
Well, I did a video on the Saturn hexagon, and I'm going to go into that area again because I think it's so important and just shows how, even on this macrocosmic level, I mean, this thing's giant. It's like 25,000 kilometers big.
Yeah.
There's this mass, and where you see mass, you've got to think intelligent.
Yeah.
We're talking about a planet that's intelligent, because nature is intelligent. We are nature. Everything we make, movies, media, etc., is nature. We came out of the planet, the universe, etc.
Yeah.
So, and you can realize that by looking at something like the Saturn hexagon.
Absolutely.
And just looking at it symbolically, Saturn generally is connected to the ideas of death.
Yeah.
And when as this story was developing about the Saturn hexagon, and by the way, they had discovered it before. I don't know if they'd released photos, but years ago they'd seen sort of a hexagon shape there, and they didn't think too much of it till they went by and it was still there, and they got clear shots of it, and then they were like, well, this thing it's a stable hexagon. It's not going away, it's staying there.
Oh, man.
It's like in the cloud storm seen from the North Pole, from the top.
Yeah.
There's this giant hexagon just rotating to the North
amazing.
Pole of Saturn. And what's really fascinating to me, and I'm trying to bring this up in one of my videos, maybe people can watch out for that, is the bees that were dying suddenly, and how the hexagon shape is something that the immediate shape that you would think of, the first shape when it comes to bees, is the honeycomb, which is a hexagon.
That's right, yeah.
So you could, in a way, I mean, it depends on your way of interpreting these things. You could think of the Saturn hexagon suddenly coming into the mediosphere, and the bees dying coming into the mediosphere as being connected. And in my videos, I've gone into showing how Buckminster Fuller geodesic is connected to it because of the film Silent Running, that we see a hexagon through right on the Saturn planet, one of the shots from the movie.
Yeah.
And Buckminster Fuller's geodesics and the technologies that have been developed from this is being used in the Freedom Tower. And
Interesting.
the spire is being made from technology that was developed from his geodesic domes.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, the spire right on top of the Freedom Tower.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this one was it's gonna have a light on it, right? That shines up.
That's right, like a giant beam of light's gonna come out there, like shooting up, I don't know how many hundreds of feet into the air when it's completed, like every night or something like that.
Ah, amazing. Yeah, that will be an incredible view, when that's finished. I think it's gonna be the tallest building in the world, at least at that time, I guess, when it goes up. Oh, man.
And another fascinating thing about the hexagon shape somebody sent me a link. Richard Hoagland, I don't know if you're familiar with his work. He
Indeed
popularized the face on Mars idea.
Yep.
And then you have Iapetus, I think that's how you say it.
Iapetus,
the moon.
Yeah.
That has this very strange trench. Very much looks like the Death Star. It has this like crater impact and this trench. And he's theorized, Mr. Hoagland, that it's actually a geodesic. Like, he looks at the craters, and he believes that he has found evidence that it is a giant, like a man-made, or not man-made, obviously, like not natural.
Yeah, it's exactly
alien thing, or a previous civilization, or something that's not geological, at least, or whatever you would call it. It might have collapsed in on itself, causing that ridge. And but what's fascinating to me is that independently, I did not know about this. I was using Saturn and the geodesic of Buckminster Fuller to describe one of my theories in my Saturn hexagon video. Now there's another connection to Saturn and the geodesic come to light, connected to Hoagland's work. And if we look at this, I'm giving a bit away about the videos I'm doing, but on Star Wars, when they go attack the Death Star,